The stars looked peaceful through the main viewing window of the EDS Nemesis. Captain Jackson Riley stood with his hands clasped behind his back, watching the distant points of light as his ship moved silently through space. The Nemesis was the pride of Earth's fleet, a dark, sleek vessel that could outrun and outfight anything else humans had ever built. "Status report," Riley said, his voice calm and steady. Lieutenant Amanda Foster looked up from her console. Her fingers stopped moving across the glowing controls for a moment. "All systems normal, Captain. We're on course for Proxima Centauri. We should arrive in 3 hours." Riley nodded. 3 hours until they would know what happened to the human outpost that had gone silent 2 days ago. 3 hours until they might face whatever threat had scared away the mighty Galactic Concordate forces that were supposed to be guarding this sector. Commander Nathan Walsh approached, datapad in hand. He was a tall man with short gray hair and serious eyes. "Captain, I've reviewed our mission briefing again. Something doesn't add up." "Explain," Riley said, turning away from the stars. "The Vexillians pulled their forces out without any warning. They didn't even notify Earth. The Arcturus ships left right after, and then the Zeta Dominion vessels just vanished." Walsh frowned. All 3 major powers of the Concordate abandoning their posts at the same time. Riley's jaw tightened. The Galactic Concordate had kept peace in this part of space for almost 200 years. Earth had tried to join many times but was always rejected. Humans were too aggressive, they said, too unpredictable, too dangerous. "They've never respected us," Riley said quietly. 200 years of peace for them while Earth has had to fight off pirates and raiders alone. Science Officer Samantha Collins joined them, her red hair tied back in a neat bun. "Captain, I've been analyzing the last transmissions from our outpost. There's something strange in the background radiation patterns." Before she could explain further, a flashing light appeared on the command console. The communications officer, Lisa Rodriguez, pressed her hand to her earpiece. "Admiral Blackwell is calling, sir. Priority 1. The main screen changed to show Admiral Olivia Blackwell's face. She looked tired, with dark circles under her eyes. "Captain Riley," she said without greeting. "The situation has changed. We've lost contact with all our outposts in 3 sectors now. Not just Proxima Centauri." Riley felt a chill run down his spine. "All of them? What about our colony on Epsilon 3? "Gone silent, too." The Admiral's voice was grim. "Satellites show the colony is still there, but no one is answering calls." "Commander," Walsh stepped forward. "Admiral, have you confronted the Concordate about their forces withdrawing?" "We've tried. They're stonewalling us. The official line is that they're repositioning assets due to strategic necessities." Blackwell's expression showed what she thought of that excuse. "But we've received an unofficial tip from a sympathetic Arcturus officer. They were ordered to leave because something is coming, something the Concordate has dealt with before." Riley exchanged glances with Walsh. "They're sacrificing our outposts to save themselves?" "That's my read of the situation, Captain." Blackwell's face hardened. "Which is why I'm changing your orders. The Nemesis is no longer just investigating. You are authorized to engage and destroy any hostile forces threatening Earth's territories." The bridge went silent. Everyone knew what that meant. The Nemesis wasn't just a fast ship with good shields. It carried weapons that no other Earth vessel had, experimental technology that had never been used in actual combat. "Admiral," Riley said carefully, "if we use the Helios array, the Concordate will know we've been developing forbidden technology. Then they shouldn't have left our people to die." Blackwell's voice was like steel. "The Nemesis is the only ship we have that might be able to handle whatever's out there. You're authorized to use any means necessary to protect our citizens and find out what's happening." After the call ended, Riley turned to his crew. They were the best Earth had to offer, skilled, brave, and loyal, and now they might be the only hope for the humans living in the outpost worlds. "Set course for Epsilon 3, he ordered. "Maximum speed." The Nemesis accelerated, its advanced engines pushing it faster than any other human ship could go. As they traveled, Science Officer Collins continued studying the strange readings from the outposts. "Captain," she said after an hour of work, I've isolated something in the data. Before each outpost went silent, there was a spike in void energy. Void energy? Walsh asked. I thought that was theoretical. Collins nodded. It is. Or it was. It's energy from the space between realities. The theories say it could be used to tear holes in space itself. Riley frowned. Could the Concordat have this technology? No, Collins said firmly. Their ships use standard fusion drives and quantum gates. This is something else, something more advanced. Lieutenant Eric Donovan spoke up from the weapons station. Sir, if we're facing void technology, will our weapons even work against it? Riley looked at him. The Helios array might. It was designed to counter technologies we've never encountered before. But we've never tested it against anything like this, Walsh pointed out. Then we'll be testing it today, Riley said grimly. The Nemesis dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Epsilon 3. The planet looked peaceful from orbit. Blue oceans, white clouds, green land masses. But the colony's defense satellites were dark, and no ships moved in the space around the planet. Scan for life signs, Riley ordered. Foster worked her console, then looked up with relief. I'm detecting human life signs in the colony. They're alive down there. Then why aren't they responding to communications? Walsh wondered. Unknown energy signature detected, Donovan suddenly called out. Coming from the far side of the planet. The main screen, something emerged from behind Epsilon 3. It wasn't a ship, not really. It looked more like a crystal the size of a small moon, with smaller crystal shapes moving around it. It glowed with an inner light that shifted and pulsed, in patterns that hurt the eyes. What is that? Foster whispered. Collins was already analyzing the readings. The void energy is coming from it. Captain, I think this is what the Concordat ran from. The crystal entity began to move toward the colony on the planet. Open a channel, Riley ordered. All frequencies. Rodriguez tried, shaking her head after a moment. No response, sir. It's getting closer to the colony, Walsh reported. 2 minutes until it's in range to do whatever it does. Riley made his decision. Battle stations. Power up all weapons. Prepare the Helios array. The crew moved quickly, the ship's lights dimming slightly as energy was diverted to the weapon systems. The Nemesis positioned itself between the crystal entity and the planet. Sir, Foster said quietly, if we reveal what the Nemesis can really do, Earth will face consequences from the Concordat. Riley's eyes never left the strange crystal as it grew larger on the screen. If we don't stop that thing, there won't be an Earth to face consequences. The Nemesis's outer hull began to shift, plates moving aside to reveal the hidden weapon beneath. Humanity's deadliest creation, about to meet its first real test. Helios array charged and ready, Donovan reported. Riley took a deep breath. Target, the main crystal. Fire when ready. The fate of Epsilon 3, and perhaps all of humanity, now rested on whether Earth's secret weapon would work against an enemy that even the mighty Concordat feared to face. The Helios array hummed with power as it prepared to fire. The sound vibrated through the entire ship, making the deck plates tremble beneath the crew's feet. Captain Riley gripped the arms of his command chair, his knuckles white. Target locked, Lieutenant Donovan announced, his finger hovering over the firing control. Wait, Science Officer Collins suddenly called out. The crystal entity is changing. On the main screen, the massive crystal structure was shifting. Parts of it moved and rearranged, forming what looked almost like a face, a giant, alien face, made of translucent crystal pieces. We're receiving a transmission, Rodriguez said, sounding surprised. It's coming from the crystal. Riley hesitated, then nodded. Put it through. Keep the Helios array ready. The screen flickered and the face of crystal became clearer. There were no features they could recognize as eyes or a mouth, just patterns of light that shifted and pulsed as a voice filled the bridge. Earth vessel, the voice said, sounding like multiple voices speaking at once. We are the Axiom. You are not authorized to be in this sector. Riley stood up from his chair. This is Captain Jackson Riley of the Earth defense ship Nemesis. You are approaching an Earth colony. State your intentions. The crystal face pulsed, with light. This sector has been designated for harvesting by agreement with the Galactic Concordat. All non-axiom life forms should have been removed. A chill ran through the bridge crew. Commander Walsh moved to stand beside Riley. Harvesting? Walsh asked quietly. The axiom continued. Your colony will be processed. The energy will feed our expansion. This is the agreement we have maintained with the Concordat for 300 of your years. Riley's jaw tightened. There is no agreement with Earth. Our colony is under our protection, and we will defend it. Your species was not included in the negotiations, the axiom stated simply. The Concordat speaks for all biological life in this sector, not for us, Riley said firmly. Withdraw now, or we will open fire. The crystal face seemed to study the Nemesis more carefully. Your vessel contains unusual technology. You should not possess such advancements, Collins whispered to Riley. Captain, I think it's detecting the Helios array. The axiom's voice grew louder. You will surrender your vessel for examination. The technology you possess is restricted. Restricted by whom? Riley demanded. By the ancient accords. By the laws of space and time. The crystal pulsed more rapidly. Your species is too young to wield such power. Lieutenant Foster spoke up, from her station. Captain, I'm detecting energy buildups in the smaller crystal formations. They're moving to surround us. Riley made his decision. We will not surrender. This is your final warning. Leave this system immediately. The axiom's response was cold. Then you will be harvested first. The smaller crystal ships suddenly accelerated toward the Nemesis, energy beams lancing out from their tips. Shields up. Evasive maneuvers, Riley ordered as he dropped back into his command chair. The Nemesis banked hard, its advanced engines responding instantly to Foster's commands. The ship shook as several energy beams struck the shields. Shields at 82%, Walsh reported, checking the damage readout. Their weapons are unlike anything we've seen before. They're not just hitting our shields, they're draining them somehow. Return fire, Riley ordered. Standard weapons only. Let's see how they respond. The Nemesis fired its conventional weapons, plasma cannons and quantum torpedoes. The energy blast struck several of the smaller crystal ships. Some shattered into pieces, but others seemed to absorb the attacks and grow brighter. 5 enemy ships destroyed, Donovan reported, but the others are adapting to our weapons. Another volley of energy beams struck the Nemesis, more powerful than before. Shields at 64%, Walsh said grimly. They're learning fast. The main crystal entity remained stationary, watching the battle. More small crystal ships emerged from it, joining the attack. We can't keep this up, Foster warned as she struggled to keep the Nemesis from being surrounded. There are too many of them. Riley knew she was right. The conventional weapons weren't enough. Collins, what's the status of the Helios array? Fully charged and ready, she replied. But Captain, there's something you should know. The array is reacting to the axiom's energy signature. It's almost like it was designed specifically to counter this technology, Riley frowned. That's impossible. We've never encountered these beings before. I don't understand it either, Collins said. But the array's systems are optimizing themselves automatically. It's like they recognize the threat. The ship rocked, again as more energy beams struck. Shields at 47%, Walsh announced. We need to make a decision fast. Riley looked at the screen, where more and more crystal ships were gathering. Behind them, the main crystal entity was slowly moving toward the colony again. If we use the array, the Concordat will know what we've built, Foster said quietly. And, if we don't, thousands of our people will die, Riley responded. And we'll die with them. He made his choice. Prepare to fire the Helios array. Target the main crystal entity. Donovan's fingers moved over his console. Array targeting systems engaged. Lock established. The front section of the Nemesis began to transform. Armor plates slid aside, revealing a complex arrangement of technology beneath. A soft blue light began to glow from within the exposed sections, growing brighter by the second. The Axiom's voice came through again. "You possess the sundering light. This is forbidden." "Not by us," Riley said firmly. "Final warning. Withdraw now." "Your species must be eliminated," the Axiom declared. "You are too dangerous to be allowed to develop further." All the crystal ships suddenly changed course, converging on the Nemesis at once. "They're making a suicide run," Walsh shouted. "Fire the array," Riley ordered. Lieutenant Donovan pressed the firing control. For a moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then a pulse of pure white light erupted from the Nemesis, expanding outward in a perfect sphere. Where it touched the crystal ships, they simply stopped. They didn't explode or break apart. They just froze in space, the light inside them fading. The wave continued outward until it reached the main crystal entity. The massive structure shuddered as the energy touched it. Cracks appeared across its surface, light spilling out from within. "It's working," Collins said in amazement. "The array is disrupting their energy matrix somehow." The Axiom's voice came through once more, now distorted and breaking up. "How do you possess the light of the precursors? Your kind should not have this knowledge." Riley leaned forward. "What are you talking about?" "What precursors?" But there was no answer. The cracks in the main crystal entity grew larger, spreading across its entire surface. Then, with a final pulse of light, it shattered into thousands of pieces. The bridge crew watched in silence as the fragments of the Axiom drifted apart, their inner light fading to nothing. "All enemy ships neutralized," Donovan reported after. "A moment, scan the colony," Riley ordered, turning to Foster. She worked her console quickly. "Life signs stable. Everyone down there appears to be unharmed." Riley let out a breath he hadn't realized he was holding. "Open a channel to the colony. Let them know they're safe." As Rodriguez established communications with Epsilon 3, Commander Walsh moved closer to Riley. "What did it mean about precursors?" he asked quietly. "And how did our array work so perfectly against something we've never encountered before?" Riley shook his head. "I don't know, but I intend to find out." He turned to Collins. "I want a full analysis of everything that just happened, and I want to know exactly how the Helios array was able to counter their technology so effectively." "Yes, Captain." She nodded, already lost in thought. The view screen showed the colony now, the lights of the human settlement shining in the darkness. They were safe for now. But Riley couldn't shake the feeling that this was just the beginning of something much larger. "Set course for Earth," he ordered. "Maximum speed. Admiral Blackwell needs to know what happened here, and what we learned about the Concordat." As the Nemesis turned away from the shattered remains of the Axiom, Riley wondered what other secrets the galaxy might be hiding from humanity, and what other secrets might be hidden in his own ship's mysterious weapon. The trip back to Earth was quiet. The crew of the Nemesis spent most of their time studying what had happened during the battle with the Axiom. Science Officer Collins barely left her laboratory, analyzing data from the Helios array and the strange readings they had collected from the crystal entities. Captain Riley sat in his quarters, reviewing the message he would deliver to Admiral Blackwell. The truth was hard to accept. The Galactic Concordat, which presented itself as the guardian of peace in the galaxy, had been sacrificing outlying systems to these Axiom beings, and they had never warned Earth. A soft beep from his door interrupted his thoughts. "Come in," he called. Commander Walsh entered, holding a datapad. "Captain, Collins asked me to bring you this. She's made some discoveries about the Helios array." Riley took the pad and read through the report quickly. Then he read it again, more slowly, his face growing pale. "Is this confirmed?" he asked. Walsh nodded. She triple-checked the results. The technology in the Helios array isn't entirely human in origin. Riley stood up and paced across his quarters. Parts of it match technology found in ancient ruins on Mars. Technology that predates human civilization. He looked at Walsh. "Why wasn't I informed of this before?" "Collins only discovered it after the battle," Walsh explained. "Something about the way the array reacted to the Axiom revealed its true nature," It seems the scientists who built it borrowed from technologies they found in the Mars ruins. The precursors, Riley said quietly, remembering the Axiom's final words. The ancient civilization that disappeared from our solar system thousands of years ago. Walsh nodded again. And somehow they knew about the Axiom. They had weapons, designed to fight them. Riley's communication console beeped. It was Lieutenant Foster from the bridge. Captain, we're approaching Earth, but there's a problem. 3 Concordate warships are in orbit. They're demanding to speak with you. Riley and Walsh exchanged worried glances. I'll be right there. On the bridge, the main screen showed the 3 alien vessels. The largest was a Vexillian dreadnought, its hull covered in gold and silver markings. The other 2 were an Arcturus cruiser and a smaller Zeta Dominion scout ship. They're hailing us again, Rodriguez reported from the communications station. Riley straightened his uniform. Put them through. The screen changed to show 3 figures. In the center was High Commander Vexlor of the Vexillian Empire, his scaled face and 4 eyes regarding Riley coldly. To his left was Overseer Thal of the Arcturus Collective, her pale, almost translucent skin glowing slightly. And to the right was Observer Zinn of the Zeta Dominion, hidden as always beneath hooded robes. Captain Riley, Vexlor began, his voice deep and rumbling. Your vessel will power down all weapons and prepare to be boarded. You have violated the terms of the Galactic Concordat by deploying forbidden technology. Riley kept his face neutral. High Commander, my ship was defending an Earth colony from an unprovoked attack. We acted in self-defense. The Axiom are not your concern, Thal said, her voice musical but cold. Arrangements have been made to manage their harvesting activities. Arrangements that involve sacrificing innocent people? Riley's voice rose slightly. You never warned Earth about the Axiom. You pulled your forces out and left our colonies defenseless. Observer Zinn spoke, his actual voice masked by a translator. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. The Axiom requires certain resources. We provide them with access to agreed-upon systems. In exchange, they leave the core worlds alone. Riley felt anger building inside him. And Earth's colonies were part of this agreement, without our knowledge or consent? Earth is not a member of the Concordat, Vexlor stated flatly. Your opinion was not required. Walsh stepped forward. So you just decided our people were expendable? Thal's glow pulsed slightly. It is regrettable. But the alternative would be far worse. The Axiom are ancient and powerful. This arrangement has kept the peace for centuries. Some peace, Riley said bitterly. Now if you'll excuse us, we have a report to deliver to our leadership. You will deliver nothing, Vexlor growled. The technology you used against the Axiom is forbidden under interstellar law. Your ship will be impounded, and your weapon confiscated. Riley straightened to his full height. The Helios Array is Earth technology, developed for our defense. You have no authority over us. Zinn's hooded form leaned forward. We detected precursor energy signatures. You have accessed technology beyond your species' development level. This cannot be allowed. Collins had quietly entered the bridge during the conversation. Now she moved to stand beside Riley. The technology is partly based on artifacts found in our own solar system, she said firmly. On Mars, a planet that belongs to humanity, whatever was left there was left for us to find. The 3 Concordat leaders seemed startled by this information. Impossible, Thal whispered. The precursors erased all evidence of their existence from inhabited systems before they departed. Apparently not all of it, Riley said. Now I ask again, please allow us to pass. We have no quarrel with the Concordat. Vexlor's scales darkened with anger. You have destroyed an Axiom harvester. They will demand compensation. They will demand punishment. We were defending our people, Riley insisted. People you abandoned. A new voice joined the conversation as Admiral Blackwell's face appeared on a separate screen. And Earth stands behind Captain Riley's actions completely. The 3 Concordat leaders turned in surprise. Admiral Blackwell, Vexlor acknowledged stiffly. This is a Concordat matter. It became an Earth matter when you designated our colonies for sacrifice, Blackwell replied, her voice like ice. We have transmitted all evidence of your agreement with the Axiom to every major world in the galaxy. Your secret arrangement is no longer secret. Thal's glow dimmed noticeably. You have no understanding of the consequences of your actions. We understand perfectly, Blackwell said. You've been appeasing these Axiom beings instead of standing against them. And now that we've shown they can be defeated, you're afraid. Observer. Zin's hooded form shifted uncomfortably. The Axiom will seek vengeance. They will send more harvesters. Many more. Then perhaps it's time the galaxy stopped hiding, Riley suggested. Perhaps it's time we all stood together against this threat. Vexlor snarled. Your primitive species has no place dictating galactic policy. Our primitive species just did what yours was afraid to do, Walsh pointed out. We fought back, and we won. Admiral Blackwell spoke again. I've received authorization from Earth's United Council. We are demanding immediate membership in the Galactic Concordat with full voting rights. The three alien leaders looked shocked. Preposterous, Vexlor growled. Is it? Blackwell asked calmly. We have technology that can defeat the Axiom. Technology you need. And now every world knows about your secret deals. How do you think they'll react when they learn you've been offering up innocent people as sacrifices? Thal and Zin exchanged glances, then whispered something to Vexlor. After a long moment, the Vexillian commander spoke reluctantly. We will consider your request for membership. The full Concordat Council must vote on such matters. Good, Blackwell nodded. The Nemesis will be Earth's representative at this vote. Captain Riley will speak for humanity. The ship with the forbidden weapon? Vexlor's scales darkened further. The ship that saved innocent lives, Blackwell corrected. Now please move your vessels. The Nemesis is returning to Earth for resupply before traveling to the Concordat Center. The communication ended, and the screen returned to showing the three alien ships. Slowly, reluctantly, they moved aside, creating a path for the Nemesis to proceed to Earth. Riley looked around at his crew. They had stood against the Axiom and won. They had stood against the Concordat and held their ground. But he knew this was just the beginning. Lieutenant Foster, take us home, he ordered. As the Nemesis moved past the Concordat vessels toward the blue planet ahead, Collins stepped closer to Riley. Captain, she said quietly. There's something else about the Helios array, something I didn't put in my report yet. What is it? Riley asked. When it activated against the Axiom, it seemed to evolve somehow. It adapted itself, becoming more efficient. The technology is changing, Captain. Learning. Riley frowned. Is it dangerous? I don't know, Collins admitted. But I think the precursors left it for us for a reason. I think they knew the Axiom would return someday. Riley gazed out at Earth growing larger on the view screen. Humanity had just taken its first steps onto a much larger, more dangerous, galactic stage, and the Nemesis would lead the way. Then we'd better be ready when they do, he said softly. 1 week later, the Nemesis approached the massive space station that served as the headquarters of the Galactic Concordat. The station hung in space like a giant silver wheel, slowly turning to create gravity for the thousands of diplomats and officials from hundreds of worlds who lived and worked there. Captain Riley stood on the bridge watching as they drew closer. The Nemesis had been resupplied and partially repaired, but signs of battle damage still showed on its hull. Earth's leadership had decided to leave these marks visible, a reminder of what they had faced and overcome. Concordat Control is hailing us, Rodriguez reported from her communication station. They're assigning us a docking bay. Acknowledged, Riley said. Lieutenant Foster, take us in slowly. Let them get a good look at us. Foster smiled slightly as her fingers moved across the controls. Yes, sir. The Nemesis glided toward the station, its dark hull standing out among the more colorful ships of other species. Many vessels moved away as they approached, their captains clearly nervous about the Earth ship that had destroyed an Axiom harvester. We're being scanned, Walsh noted. Multiple scans from different sources. Riley nodded. They're looking for the Helios array. The array had been partially concealed again, hidden behind armor plates, but still ready if needed. Let them look, Collins said from her station. They won't understand what they're seeing anyway, not without the activation codes. As the Nemesis docked with the station, Riley gathered his team. Commander Walsh, Science Officer Collins, and Lieutenant Rodriguez would accompany him to the council chamber. Foster and Donovan would remain aboard, keeping the ship ready for departure if necessary. Remember, Riley told his team as they prepared to disembark, we represent all of Earth now. The council will try to intimidate us to make us seem small and primitive. Don't let them. The station interior was vast and elegant, with high ceilings and walls made of materials that seemed to glow with their own light. Aliens of many species moved through the wide corridors, some humanoid, others utterly different in form. Many stopped to stare as the Earth team passed by, whispers following in their wake. A tall, thin alien with blue skin and 4 arms approached them. Captain Riley? I am Facilitator Cree. I will escort you to the council chamber. Riley nodded politely. Thank you, Facilitator. As they walked, Cree spoke in a quiet voice. You have caused quite a stir, Captain. No one has ever destroyed an Axiom harvester before, at least not in many centuries. We did what was necessary to protect our people, Riley replied simply. Of course. Cree's large eyes blinked slowly. But you should know, not everyone on the council is displeased with your actions. Some have long argued that the arrangement with the Axiom is morally questionable. This was surprising news. Then why has it continued for so long? Fear, Cree said softly. The Axiom are very old, Captain, and very powerful. The last time they were defied, entire systems were left lifeless. Before Riley could ask more questions, they arrived at a massive set of doors that slid open silently as they approached. Beyond was the council chamber, a vast circular room with rising tiers of seats, almost like an ancient amphitheater. Representatives from dozens of species filled those seats, their quiet conversations creating a low hum that filled the space. In the center of the chamber was a circular platform. Facilitator Cree directed the Earth team toward it. You will stand there. The 7 high counselors will address you first, then others may speak. Answer truthfully, but... Cree hesitated. Be careful. Words can be weapons here. Riley and his team stepped onto the platform. Immediately, lights from above focused on them, and the room fell silent. From the highest tier, 7 figures looked down at them. Riley recognized Vexilor of the Vexillians, Thal of the Arcturus Collective, and Zin of the Zeta Dominion. The other 4 were from species he had never seen before. Captain Jackson Riley of Earth, a voice announced, echoing through the chamber. You stand before the High Council of the Galactic Concordat to explain your actions and to present Earth's petition for membership. The central figure, a being with metallic skin that reflected the light like a mirror, spoke first. I am High Counselor Morrow of the Thrakan Alliance. We have reviewed the data concerning your encounter with the Axiom Harvester. You used technology that has not been seen in this galaxy for over 10,000 years. Riley nodded. We call it the Helios Array. It was developed based on artifacts found in our own solar system. Murmurs spread through the chamber at this statement. Vexilor leaned forward. Impossible. The precursors left no technology behind when they departed. Apparently, they did, Collins spoke up, her voice clear and confident. On Mars, our neighboring planet. Ruins buried beneath the surface for thousands of years. High Counselor Thal's glow pulsed with agitation. If this is true, then the precursors chose your species specifically. This is troubling. Why? Riley asked. Who were these precursors, and what connection did they have to the Axiom? The 7 counselors exchanged glances. Then Morrow spoke again. The precursors were the first advanced civilization in our galaxy, as far as we know. They seeded many worlds with life, guided the evolution of countless species, including, it seems, your own. Zin continued, his translator making his voice sound flat and emotionless. And then, approximately 12,000 years ago, they encountered the Axiom, a species from beyond our galaxy, a species that exists to consume and expand. There was war, another counselor added, this one a small furred being with large eyes. A terrible war that lasted for centuries. Many worlds were destroyed, and then suddenly the precursors were gone, vanished, and the Axiom became dormant, only awakening periodically to harvest. Riley looked at Collins, who seemed as surprised as he was by this information. And the Concordat made a deal with them, to let them harvest certain worlds? It was necessary for survival, Vexlor insisted. We could not fight them, not after what happened to the precursors. Riley stood straighter. But we did fight them, and we won. One battle, Thal said dismissively. Against a single harvester. There are thousands more, and now they will come in greater numbers because of your actions. Then help us fight them, Walsh suggested, speaking for the first time. Together we might stand a chance. Laughter rippled through parts of the chamber, quickly silenced by Morrow raising a hand. You do not understand, Morrow said. The Concordat has maintained peace for centuries by avoiding conflict with the Axiom. Your actions have endangered that peace. Riley felt his patience wearing thin. Peace bought with the lives of others isn't peace. It's surrender. A new voice came from the side of the chamber. The human speaks truth. All heads turned to see who had spoken. A reptilian being with crimson scales stood from his seat. I am Ambassador Krell of the Drac Confederacy. My people have lost 3 colony worlds to the Axiom harvesting in the past century alone. Worlds that the Concordat deemed expendable. Other voices joined in, some supporting Krell's words, others denouncing them. The chamber grew loud with argument until Morrow struck a crystal pillar beside his seat, creating a sound that cut through the noise. Order, he commanded. This is not why we are here today. We must decide on Earth's petition for membership. Before that, Riley said firmly, I want to know more about these precursors and why they left technology on our world. The counselors looked uncomfortable. Finally, Zin spoke. There is a theory, just a theory, that the precursors did not simply vanish, that they evolved, transformed themselves into something beyond physical form. But before they did, the small furred counselor added, they may have left behind safeguards, seeds of resistance planted in promising young species. Species that might one day stand against the Axiom if they ever returned in force. Riley felt a chill run down his spine. You think that's what the technology on Mars was? A safeguard? If so, Thal said, her glow pulsing rapidly, then the precursors foresaw something terrible, something that has not yet come to pass. The chamber grew quiet as everyone considered the implications of this. After a long moment, Morrow spoke again. We will now vote on Earth's petition for membership in the Concordat. But know this, Captain Riley. If accepted, Earth will be expected to share the Helios array technology with the Concordat for the common defense. Riley shook his head. That wasn't part of our agreement. The technology remains Earth's, though we're willing to use it to protect others. Unacceptable, Vexlor growled. You cannot be allowed to maintain such power exclusively. Before Riley could respond, alarms began to sound throughout the station. Red lights flashed, and the chamber erupted in confused voices. A station official rushed in, looking panicked. High counselors! Multiple void energy signatures detected. Axiom vessels are appearing throughout the system. On the massive view screen that covered one wall of the chamber, the image appeared. Dozens of crystal ships, larger than the one the Nemesis had faced, emerging from what looked like tears in space itself. Morrow turned to Riley, his metallic face showing emotion for the first time, fear. It seems, he said quietly, that the Axiom have decided to answer your challenge, Captain. Chaos erupted in the council chamber. Representatives from dozens of worlds rushed toward the exits, their voices raised in panic. The 7 high counselors attempted to restore order, but fear had taken hold. Captain Riley turned to his team. "We need to get back to the Nemesis now." As they hurried through the crowded corridors of the station, Riley contacted the ship. "Foster, Donovan, prepare for emergency departure. The Axiom are here, and there are a lot of them." "Already on it, Captain." Foster's voice came through clearly. "We're tracking multiple crystal ships approaching the station, bigger than the one we faced before. When they reached the docking bay, they found Facilitator Cree waiting for them." "Captain Riley," the blue-skinned alien said urgently, "the High Council requests that you remain at the station. They wish to discuss options. They want to use us as a shield," Walsh said bluntly. Cree didn't deny it. "The Nemesis is the only ship that has successfully destroyed an Axiom vessel. The Council believes your presence might deter an attack on the station." Riley shook his head. "We're leaving, but we're not running away. Tell the Council we'll engage the Axiom directly." "That's suicide," Cree protested. "There are at least 20 harvester ships out there." "Then we'd better hurry," Riley said, leading his team toward the Nemesis. Once aboard, Riley quickly took command. "Foster, get us clear of the station. Donovan, power up all weapon systems, including the Helios array. Collins, I need everything." "You've learned about the array's capabilities." As the Nemesis detached from the station and moved away, the view screen showed the approaching Axiom fleet. The crystal ships were massive, each one at least 3 times the size of the Harvester they had faced at Epsilon 3. "They're not attacking the station," Walsh observed. "They're coming straight for us." Collins looked up from her console. "Captain, I've analyzed the array's energy patterns from our last encounter. It seems to gain power when it directly interacts with Axiom technology, almost like it's feeding on their energy. Can we use that somehow?" Riley asked. "Maybe." Collins typed rapidly on her keyboard. "If we reconfigure the array to absorb energy rather than just disrupt it, we might be able to use their own power against them." "Do it," Riley ordered. "How long will it take?" 10 minutes, maybe less." Riley looked at the approaching fleet. "We don't have 10 minutes. Foster, evasive maneuvers. Keep us away from them as long as possible." The Nemesis accelerated away from the station, its advanced engines pushing it to maximum speed. The Axiom ships followed, their crystal structures glinting in the light of the system's star. "They're gaining on us," Foster reported, "and they're trying to surround us." "Standard weapons online," Donovan announced. "But they weren't very effective last time." Riley made a quick decision. "Target the smallest ship with conventional weapons. Let's see how they respond." The Nemesis fired a barrage of quantum torpedoes. They struck one of the smaller crystal ships, causing visible damage but not destroying it. "All Axiom ships are now accelerating," Walsh reported. "They're taking the bait." "Captain," Rodriguez called from communications. "We're receiving a transmission from the station. It's being broadcast to all ships in the system." "Put it through," Riley ordered. The screen showed High Counselor Morrow. "Attention, Axiom vessels. This is the Galactic Concordat. We wish to reaffirm our arrangement. The Earth ship acted without our knowledge or approval. We are prepared to offer additional harvesting rights in compensation for—" Riley cut the transmission. "They're throwing us to the wolves," he said grimly. "Can't say I'm surprised," Walsh muttered. "Collins, status on the array modifications?" Riley asked. "Almost there, Captain. But there's something else." Collins looked up, her face serious. "The array is changing again. The code is rewriting itself, accessing systems beyond what we designed. Is it dangerous to us?" "I don't think so." Collins shook her head. "It's almost like it's waking up, becoming what it was always meant to be." Before Riley could respond, the ship shuddered as energy beams from the lead Axiom vessel struck their shields. "Shields at 72%, Walsh reported. "They're stronger than before." Another beam hit, more powerful than the last. "Shields at 58%, Walsh updated. "We can't take much more of this." Collins suddenly stood up. "The array modifications are complete, but, Captain, I think we should let it take full control, let it do what it was designed to do." By the precursors, Riley realized Collins nodded. This technology was left specifically to fight the Axiom. I think we need to trust it. Riley hesitated only a moment. Do it. Collins entered a final command, then stepped back from her console. The lights on the bridge dimmed, then brightened, again with a slightly different hue. What's happening? Foster asked, looking around nervously. The answer came not from Collins, but from the ship itself. A voice spoke through the communication system. Not human, not alien, but something in between. Protocol Sunbreaker initiated. Precursor defense system online. Target, Axiom harvesters. The front section of the Nemesis began to transform, but differently than before. The entire hull seemed to shift, plates moving and reconfiguring in ways that should have been impossible. The Helios array expanded, growing larger and more complex. Captain, Donovan said in awe, the weapon systems are changing. The array is integrating with the entire ship. On the view screen, they could see that the Axiom ships had stopped advancing. They were holding position, as if suddenly uncertain. They recognize it, Collins whispered. They know what's happening. The voice spoke again. Axiom energy signatures confirmed, initiating counter-protocol. The Nemesis fired, but not with a beam like before. This time, a pulse of golden light expanded outward in all directions, washing over the Axiom fleet. Where it touched the crystal ships, they began to change, their structures twisting, their light dimming. What's it doing to them? Walsh asked. Not destroying them, Collins said, checking her readings. It's reverting them somehow, changing their energy patterns. As they watched, the Axiom vessels began to break apart, not violently, but as if dissolving. The crystal structures separated into smaller pieces, drifting apart. Axiom consciousness patterns neutralized, the voice announced. Harvester function disabled. Reconfiguration complete. Where the Axiom fleet had been, thousands of small crystal shards now floated in space, glowing with a soft, steady light. They're beautiful, Foster said softly. Collins, what just happened? Riley asked. She shook her head in wonder. The array didn't destroy them. It transformed them, returned them to, I think this might be their original state before they became harvesters. The voice spoke one last time. Protocol complete. Precursor defense system returning to dormant state. Remember, the glow faded from the ship's systems and the hull began to return to its normal configuration. The Helios array retracted, once again hidden within the Nemesis. For a long moment, the bridge crew sat in stunned silence. Then Rodriguez spoke up. Captain, we're being hailed. It's the Concordat station. All 7 High Counselors want to speak with you. Riley smiled slightly. I bet they do. He straightened his uniform. Put them through. The 7 faces appeared on screen, their expressions a mixture of awe, fear, and calculation. Captain Riley, Morrow began, his metallic skin reflecting the lights of the council chamber. What we just witnessed was unprecedented. The Axiom fleet has been neutralized without being destroyed. The technology the precursors left on Mars, Riley said. It wasn't a weapon, not really. It was a cure. Vexilor leaned forward. A cure? What do you mean? Collins answered, moving to stand beside Riley. The Axiom weren't always harvesters. Something changed them, corrupted them. The precursors developed a way to reverse that change, to return them to their original state. This changes everything, Thal said, her glow pulsing rapidly. If the Axiom can be neutralized without destruction, then the harvesting can end. Riley finished for her. No more sacrificing worlds. No more fear. Zin's hooded form shifted. The Concordat owes Earth a great debt. Your petition for membership is, of course, approved, with full voting rights. And we would request that Earth lead a new initiative, Morrow added, a joint mission to locate and neutralize all remaining Axiom harvesters using your precursor technology. Riley exchanged glances with his crew, seeing the pride in their faces. Earth had gone from an outsider, deemed too primitive and aggressive, to a leader among the stars. "We accept," Riley said firmly. "But on one condition: no more secrets, no more sacrificing the few to protect the many. We stand together, or not at all." The 7 counselors conferred briefly, then Morrow nodded. "Agreed. A new era begins today, thanks to the courage of Earth and the wisdom of the precursors who chose your world for their legacy." As the communication ended, Riley looked out at the floating crystal fragments that had once been the dreaded axiom, fleet. They sparkled like stars against the darkness of space. "Collins," he said quietly, "do you think the precursors knew this would happen? That we would find their technology and use it this way?" She smiled. "I think they hoped, Captain. They left us a tool and trusted that when the time came we would use it wisely." The Nemesis turned, heading back toward the Concordate station. Behind them, the transformed axiom crystals began to pulse with a new kind of light. Not the harsh glare of the harvesters, but a gentle giel. Commander Alan Wright stood at the viewport of the survey vessel Harbinger, watching the stars. The ship hummed softly around him as it drifted through the Kuiper Belt at the edge of Earth's solar system. The year was 2155, and humanity had spread throughout their home system, with colonies on Mars, Europa, and Titan. It wasn't much compared to the vastness of space, but it was a start. "Commander, you might want to see this," called Lieutenant Susan Bell from her station. Her fingers moved across the glowing display as she analyzed unusual energy readings. Alan moved to her side, his brow furrowing as he studied the data. "That's not one of ours." "No, sir, the signature doesn't match any Earthships. It's something else." For a moment, the bridge fell silent. Everyone understood what this meant. After all the years of searching, listening, and hoping, humanity was about to have its first contact with alien life. "Battle stations," Alan ordered calmly. "Not because I expect trouble, but because I don't know what to expect." The Harbinger wasn't a warship. It was a survey vessel with minimal weapons, designed to map resources in the outer solar system and protect mining operations from pirates. But even a survey ship had defenses, and Alan wasn't taking chances. "Sir!" "The object is changing course. It's heading directly for us." Alan took his captain's chair. "Maintain position, let's see what they want." The alien vessel appeared on their view screen, sleek and predatory compared to the boxy human ships. It was 3 times the size of the Harbinger, with a smooth, dark hull that seemed to swallow light rather than reflect it. "They're scanning us, sir," reported Officer Pete Collins, the sensor specialist. "Very thorough scans." Before Alan could respond, the communication system crackled to life. The voice that came through spoke perfect English, though with a strange, metallic quality that suggested computer translation. "Human vessel, this is Scout Commander Krav of the Taurian Hegemony. Your species has been identified as a primitive technological civilization. Prepare to receive boarding party for preliminary assessment." Alan exchanged glances with his crew. None of them liked the word primitive or the commanding tone. "This is Commander Alan Wright of Earth Vessel Harbinger. We welcome peaceful contact with the Taurian Hegemony, but we do not consent to boarding. I suggest we arrange a formal meeting with our respective governments." There was a pause before the alien responded. "Your consent is not required. The Hegemony claims this star system by right of superior civilization. Resistance will be noted in your assessment report." The alien ship extended docking arms. "Susan, get us out of here," Alan ordered. "Maximum speed back to Earth. Pete, send everything we've recorded to Space Defense Headquarters. Make sure they know we've got company." The Harbinger's engines roared to life, pulling away from the alien vessel. For a moment it seemed they might escape. Then a beam of green light shot from the alien ship, striking the Harbinger's engine section. "They've knocked out our main drive," Susan reported as the ship shuddered around them. Alan gripped his chair. "Secondary systems?" "Still online. We can still move, but not fast enough to outrun them." Alan nodded grimly. "Then we fight. All weapons online. Target their boarding mechanisms." The Harbinger wasn't designed for combat against advanced alien. ships, but Alan wouldn't surrender his crew without resistance. The ship's point defense cannons fired, striking the extended docking arms of the alien vessel. The arms retracted quickly. Damaged. "Sir, they're powering up weapons," Pete warned. "Evasive. Action and keep transmitting to Earth." What followed was a brief, one-sided battle. The Harbinger dodged the first volley from the alien ship, but the second caught them along the port side. Systems failed across the ship as the alien weapons proved far more powerful than anything humanity had developed. "Commander," Susan called. "Out," her voice steady despite the chaos. "The transmission got through. Earth knows we're under attack." Alan nodded. At least they'd accomplished that much. "Prepare the emergency beacon. If they take us, Earth needs to know everything about them." The alien voice returned over the comm system. "Your resistance is noted. The hegemony appreciates testing the resolve of new species. It helps determine your place in our empire." Another blast hit the Harbinger and the lights flickered. They were crippled now, unable to fight or flee. "Launch the beacon," Alan ordered. A small, nondescript probe shot away from the Harbinger, accelerating quickly toward the inner solar system. The alien ship either didn't notice or didn't care about the tiny object. Soon after, the Taurian vessel locked onto the Harbinger with gravity beams, pulling the human ship into its massive docking bay. "Prepare for boarding," Alan told his crew. "Remember your training. Don't resist physically. They clearly outmatch us in technology. Our job now is to learn everything we can about them." When the Taurians boarded, they were nothing like humans expected aliens to be. Standing nearly 7 feet tall, they resembled upright lizards with 4 arms and scaled skin in various shades of blue and green. Their eyes were large and black, set in triangular faces dominated by small, sharp-toothed mouths. The boarding party wore armor that seemed to flow around them like liquid metal. Their weapons were compact but clearly advanced, humming with energy even at rest. "You will be taken for evaluation," said one of the Taurians, its mouth movements not matching the translated words. "Your ship will be studied. The hegemony welcomes all species to proper servitude." Alan and his crew were escorted off their own ship by the alien soldiers. As they marched through the alien vessel, Alan took careful note of everything: the layout, the technology, the number of crew members. He could see all information that might help Earth if he ever got the chance to report it. Meanwhile, the emergency beacon raced toward Earth, carrying data about the encounter and a simple message: "First contact made. Hostile intent confirmed. Prepare." In Washington, Director of Space Defense Olivia Bennett was working late when the alert came through. She stared at the data from the Harbinger's beacon, her face growing pale. "Get me the president," she told her assistant. Now, President Frank Carter was awakened at 3:17 a.m. with news that would change human history forever. By sunrise, he had convened an emergency meeting of Earth's United Defense Council. "Ladies and gentlemen," he said gravely to the assembled military leaders, "we are not alone in the universe, and our new neighbors are not friendly. We have 2 weeks at most before they reach Earth." General Gregory Holt of the United States leaned forward. "What are our options?" "We fight," said Admiral Kate Russell of the European Federation. "We've been preparing for this possibility for decades." President Carter nodded. "Then let's make sure these Taurians learn that humans don't surrender easily." As the Council began planning Earth's defense, a small Taurian fleet was already assembling at the edge of the solar system. Fleet Admiral Zorax, Supreme Commander of the Hegemony's expansion force, reviewed the data from the scout ship with amusement. "Such primitive vessels," he commented to his officers. "This will be a simple annexation. 20 ships should be more than sufficient." His second-in-command bowed respectfully. "The diplomatic fleet stands ready, Admiral." Zorax's mouth formed what passed for a Taurian smile. "Good. Let us bring these humans into the light of civilization." Little did he know that humanity's apparent technological simplicity hid secrets that would soon shock the entire hegemony. 2 weeks after the capture of the Harbinger, the Taurian diplomatic fleet entered the solar system. 20 sleek warships slipped past Pluto, their engines barely registering on conventional sensors. Fleet Admiral Zorax stood on the bridge of his flagship, the Dominion, watching the holographic display of the human solar system. Primitive defenses, he noted with satisfaction. They have a few orbital platforms around their homeworld, but nothing that can challenge our fleet. His second-in-command, Sub-Admiral Krell, nodded in agreement. The scout ship reports their technology is at least 2 centuries behind ours. They have barely established colonies on nearby planets. What the Taurians didn't know was that humanity had been busy in the 2 weeks since Commander Wright's encounter. Director Olivia Bennett had activated Operation Scattered Shield, a defensive plan created years ago for exactly this scenario. Near Neptune, hidden bases on the moon's Triton, and Proteus housed Earth's first line of defense. These bases appeared to be ordinary mining facilities on scans, but contained advanced weapons and stealth fighters. Captain Ryan Mitchell stood in the control room of Triton Base, watching as the alien fleet approached. "They're right on schedule," he told his officers. "Everyone to battle stations. Remember the plan. Hit hard, hit fast, and retreat before they can coordinate a response." Ryan was young for a captain at 34, but had distinguished himself in the conflicts between Earth colonies that had since been resolved. Now he commanded Earth's first line of defense against an alien threat. "Sir, the Taurians will be in range in 5 minutes," reported Lieutenant John Wilson, his tactical officer. Ryan nodded and opened a channel to all ships and bases in the Neptune Defense Network. "This is Captain Mitchell. In 5 minutes we make humanity's first stand against alien invaders. These Taurians think we're easy prey. Let's show them how wrong they are." Admiral Kate Russell watched from her command center on Earth as the trap was sprung. On her screen she could see the Taurian fleet approaching Neptune, completely unaware of what awaited them. "Begin Operation Scattered Shield," she ordered. Around Neptune, hidden bases powered up weapon systems, disguised defense, platforms activated targeting systems, and from the dark side of Triton, Captain Mitchell's ship, the Valiant, led a squadron of 12 Earth vessels on an intercept course. The Taurian sensors detected the human ships too late. By the time alarms sounded on the Dominion's bridge, the first Earth missiles were already striking their targets. "We're under attack," shouted a Taurian officer. "Human vessels emerging from Neptune's moon." Fleet Admiral Zorax stood in shock as the tactical display showed Earth ships appearing from what should have been empty space. "Impossible." The scout reported no military presence in this region. The Earth ships weren't large, but they were fast and surprisingly powerful. They used Neptune's strong magnetic field to mask their approach, emerging from areas of interference to launch precise strikes against the Taurian vessels. Captain Ryan Mitchell stood calmly on the bridge of the Valiant, directing the attack. "Target their engines and weapons first. Don't give them time to organize." The human ships darted around the much larger Taurian vessels, launching missiles and energy weapons. 3 Taurian ships were disabled in the first wave of attacks before they could even return fire. On the Dominion, Fleet Admiral Zorax recovered from his surprise and began shouting orders. "Full combat alert! Return fire and destroy those human ships!" The Taurian fleet began to respond, their superior weapons reaching out to strike the attacking Earth vessels. One human ship exploded as a Taurian energy beam cut it in half. Another spun out of control, its engines destroyed. But the Earth ships continued their attack, focusing their fire on individual Taurian vessels. Another Taurian ship exploded as multiple missiles struck its power core. "Sir, we've lost 5 ships already," reported Sub-Admiral Krell, his voice filled with disbelief. Zorax slammed his fist against his command console. "How is this possible? They're supposed to be primitives." In the hidden command center on Earth, Admiral Kate Russell watched the battle with grim satisfaction. The Taurians fell for it. They expected helpless prey and found wolves instead. Director Bennett stood beside her, studying the tactical displays. "Captain Mitchell is performing admirably, but he can't hold for long against their superior firepower." "He doesn't need to," Russell replied. "He just needs to hurt them enough to make them cautious. Every Taurian ship he destroys is one less we have to face at Mars and Earth." On the Valiant, Captain Mitchell saw that the Taurian fleet was finally organizing an effective response. All ships execute withdrawal pattern Delta. We've done enough damage here. His ship shuddered as a Taurian energy beam grazed their shields. The human vessels began pulling back, using Neptune's storms and magnetic fields for cover as they retreated. "Sir, the humans are retreating," reported a Taurian officer on the Dominion. Fleet Admiral Zorax growled in frustration. "Pursue and destroy them." "Sir, we've lost 7 ships. Several others are damaged," Krell pointed out. "Perhaps we should regroup before—" "Are you suggesting we fear these primitives?" Zorax snapped. "They caught us by surprise, nothing more. We still outnumber them. The fleet will continue as planned." But as the Taurian ships moved past Neptune, they advanced with far more caution than before. Their sensors swept the space ahead continuously, looking for more human traps. Back on Triton base, Captain Mitchell and his surviving ships docked for quick repairs. 3 of his ships had been destroyed, and 4 others damaged. But they had destroyed 7 Taurian warships and damaged several more. "A good first strike," he told his officers. "But this was just the beginning. They'll be more careful now." Lieutenant Wilson nodded. "At least they know we can fight. And we've learned about their weapons and tactics," Ryan added. "Data that will help the defenders at Mars and Earth." As the Taurian fleet continued toward the inner solar system, news of the battle spread throughout human colonies. On Mars, Colonel Sam Cooper received the battle reports and began final preparations for the defense of the Red Planet. "The Neptune defense bought us time and information," he told his officers. "Now we show these Taurians that taking Mars won't be easy either." The Martian defense forces were different from Captain Mitchell's fleet. While Earth ships favored speed and stealth, Martian vessels were heavily armored, designed for sustained combat. The Martian moons, Phobos and Deimos, had been converted into fortified battle stations with weapons hidden beneath the rocky surfaces. As news of the Neptune battle reached Earth, President Frank Carter addressed the unified governments. "Today, humanity struck its first blow against alien invaders. But the fight has just begun. The Taurians are still coming, and they will not underestimate us again." In cities across Earth, people prepared for possible invasion. Some fled to underground shelters, while others volunteered for emergency defense forces. The news broadcast showed the first images of the Taurians, captured by the Harbinger before its capture. Humanity now had a face to put to their enemy. Fleet Admiral Zorax studied the deployment of human forces near Mars with growing concern. The easy conquest he had promised his superiors was proving far more difficult than anticipated. These humans fought with unexpected skill and determination. "Sub-Admiral, prepare a message to Hegemony Command," he ordered Krell. "Request reinforcements for the subjugation of Earth." Krell looked surprised. "Sir, do you really think we need reinforcements to defeat these humans?" Zorax stared at the display showing Mars growing larger as they approached. "I think we should be prepared for more surprises. These humans have teeth, and I intend to make sure the hegemony prevails whatever the cost." The battle for Mars was about to begin, and neither side was prepared for what would come next. The red dust of Mars swirled in the thin atmosphere as Colonel Sam Cooper watched the sky from his command center on Phobos, the larger of Mars' 2 moons. Through reinforced windows, he could see the cratered surface of the small moon, now covered with defense installations and weapons platforms. What had once been a barren rock was now a fortress. "Taurian fleet has passed the asteroid belt," reported Major Kelly Dixon, his second in command. 13 ships remaining. They'll reach Mars, orbit in 6 hours. Sam nodded, his weathered face showing no emotion. At 52, he had spent most of his career protecting Mars colonies from pirates and separatists. Now he faced an enemy from beyond the stars. "Status of civilian evacuation?" he asked. 80% complete. The remaining transports will leave within the hour. All non-essential personnel have been moved to emergency shelters below the surface. Sam turned to face the officers gathered in the command center. "The Neptune defense bought us time and weakened the enemy fleet. But make no mistake, these Taurians are still dangerous. They have better ships and weapons. What we have is home, field advantage, and a few surprises they won't expect." On the main viewing screen, the tactical display showed the approaching Taurian fleet. The alien ships moved in a tight formation, clearly more cautious after their losses at Neptune. They've learned from their first encounter, Sam observed. They won't fall for the same tricks, but we have a few new ones ready. Mars had been preparing for this moment for days. Unlike Earth's defensive strategy, which relied on speed and stealth, the Martian defense forces focused on heavy armor and firepower. The moons Phobos and Deimos had been turned into heavily armed battle stations. Hidden throughout the Martian surface were automated defense platforms and a network of orbital mines. "Begin Operation Red Shield," Sam ordered. "Activate all defensive systems." Across the Martian surface and in orbit around the red planet, weapon systems powered up. Missile batteries emerged from hidden bunkers in the Martian canyons. Defensive, shields strengthened around the main colony domes. On Deimos, the smaller moon, Lieutenant Lisa Grant supervised the activation of the main cannon. The massive weapon was built into the core of the moon itself, capable of firing projectiles at incredible speeds using electromagnetic acceleration. "Main cannon charged and ready," she reported to Colonel Cooper. "Targeting systems online." The Taurian fleet approached Mars with caution. After the ambush at Neptune, Fleet Admiral Zorax was taking no chances. His ship, the Dominion, led the fleet, its sensors scanning for any signs of human defenses. "The fourth planet is heavily defended," reported his tactical officer. "We detect weapons emplacements on both moons and in orbit." Zorax studied the display showing the human defenses. "They've had time to prepare, but it won't save them. Begin the attack sequence." The Taurian ships spread out, targeting the orbital defenses first. Energy beams lanced out, destroying several of the human defense satellites. But as they approached, closer to Mars, they triggered the first layer of traps. Orbital mines hidden by stealth technology exploded among the Taurian ships. The explosions weren't powerful enough to destroy the alien vessels, but they disrupted shields and caused confusion. In that moment of chaos, Sam Cooper gave the order. "Fire the main cannon." On Deimos, Lieutenant Grant pressed the firing control. The entire moon shuddered as the electromagnetic cannon fired a massive metal projectile at near relativistic speed. The projectile struck a Taurian cruiser before its sensors could even detect the threat. The ship shattered, breaking apart in a spectacular explosion. "Direct hit," Grant reported, her voice steady despite the excitement of the moment. "Taurian cruiser destroyed." The battle for Mars had begun in earnest. The Taurian ships returned fire, their energy weapons targeting the human defenses. A beam struck one of the defense platforms on Phobos, causing an explosion that shook the command center. "Maintain fire discipline," Sam ordered, as warning lights flashed around him. "Make every shot count." From the Valles Marineris, the massive canyon system that scarred the Martian surface, hidden railgun batteries opened fire. The weapons had been disguised as mining equipment, part of Mars' strategic deception. Now they revealed their true purpose, firing hypervelocity projectiles at the Taurian ships. 3 more Taurian vessels were damaged by the surprise attack, but the aliens were quick to adapt. They shifted their formation, using their superior maneuverability to avoid the fixed weapon emplacements. "They're targeting the canyon batteries," reported Major Dixon as the tactical display showed Taurian ships concentrating fire on the Martian surface. Sam watched as, one by one, the railgun batteries were destroyed by precise Taurian fire. "Shift to secondary defenses, activate the drone swarms." From hidden hangars across Mars, thousands of small combat drones launched into the sky. Each was barely larger than a human hand, but carried a small explosive charge. They swarmed toward the Taurian ships like angry insects, overwhelming point defense systems through sheer numbers. The battle raged for hours, with neither side gaining a clear advantage. The Martian defenses were stronger than the Taurians expected, but the alien technology was formidable. Explosions lit up the Martian sky as ships and defense platforms were destroyed. In the main colony dome, panic spread among the remaining civilians waiting for evacuation. The protective shields flickered as Taurian weapons struck them repeatedly. Governor Paul Hayes coordinated the final evacuation efforts, trying to maintain order. "The last transport is loading now," he told his staff. "We have 20 minutes." Before departure, an explosion rocked the dome as a Taurian beam penetrated the outer shield. Warning alarms blared as air began to leak from the damaged section. "Seal the breach," Hayes ordered. "We need to hold until the transport is ready." On the Dominion, Fleet Admiral Zorax watched the battle with growing frustration. The humans were fighting with unexpected skill and determination. Every advance came at a cost of Taurian lives and ships. "Target their main colony dome," he ordered. "Break their will to resist." Multiple Taurian ships concentrated fire on the main dome. Despite the defensive shields, the sustained attack began to break through. Large cracks appeared in the dome structure as the shields failed. Governor Hayes realized they were out of time. "Launch the transport now. We'll hold them off as long as we can." The last civilian transport lifted off from the colony, carrying hundreds of people. But it was still in range of the Taurian weapons. As the ship climbed through the thin Martian atmosphere, enemy targeting systems locked onto it. Captain Eric Foster, commanding a small squadron of Martian fighters, saw the danger. "They're targeting the civilian transport. All fighters. Intercept and protect." Foster's squadron moved to shield the transport, placing their ships between the civilians and the Taurian weapons. 2 fighters were destroyed immediately, the pilots sacrificing themselves to save the transport. Foster's own ship took heavy damage as he maneuvered to block Taurian fire. "Keep going," he urged the transport. "We'll cover you." Through the heroic efforts of Foster and his pilots, the transport escaped Mars orbit, carrying the last civilians to safety. But the battle for Mars was turning against the humans. After 3 days of fierce fighting, the Martian defenses were crumbling. Colonel Cooper made the difficult decision. "Begin evacuation of all military personnel," he ordered, "and initiate scorched regolith protocol." As the Martian defenders retreated to Earth, they activated demolition charges in all military installations and colonies. When the Taurians finally secured Mars, they found only ruins and destruction. The humans had denied them any useful resources or technology. The Taurians had won a costly victory. Of the 13 ships that reached Mars, only 7 remained operational. Fleet Admiral Zorax stood on the bridge of the Dominion, surveying the devastated Martian landscape. "These humans are far more dangerous than we anticipated," he told Sub-Admiral Krell. "Request additional reinforcements before we advance to their homeworld." As the message was sent to Taurian High Command, Zorax didn't know that Earth was preparing its own surprises. The retreat from Mars was not a defeat. It was part of humanity's larger strategy. Earth glowed blue and green against the blackness of space, still beautiful despite the orbital defense platforms now surrounding it like a metal necklace. In the White House Situation Room, President Frank Carter studied the latest reports from Mars. The faces around the table were grim but determined. "Mars has fallen," Director Olivia Bennett confirmed, her voice steady. "Colonel Cooper and 60% of his forces have successfully evacuated. They'll reach Earth in 2 days." President Carter nodded. "And the Taurians?" "They're regrouping. According to our intelligence, Fleet Admiral Zorax has requested reinforcements. They've lost more than half their original invasion force." General Gregory Holt, commander of Earth's combined military forces, pointed to the tactical display. "The Taurian reinforcements have arrived, 15 additional warships. They'll likely begin their advance to Earth within 48 hours. President Carter looked around the table at Earth's Defense Council. "This is the moment we've been preparing for." Neptune slowed them down. "Mars hurt them badly. Now we show them what Earth can do." For decades, Earth had maintained the appearance of having limited space defenses. The orbital platforms visible to outside observers were officially designated as communications satellites and scientific research stations. But beneath the surface of this facade lay Earth's true defensive capabilities. "Activate the orbital defense grid," President Carter ordered. Around the world, military commanders received the authorization codes. In space, the seemingly ordinary satellites transformed, revealing hidden weapon systems and defensive shields. What had appeared to be a minimal defense network suddenly became a formidable battle grid. On the Moon, Major Nicole Harper supervised the final preparations at the Lunar Defense Base. Hidden beneath the lunar surface, the base housed Earth's most powerful weapons concealed from alien observation, all systems online, she reported to General Holt. Lunar batteries charged and ready. The Taurian fleet, now 22 ships strong with the arrival of reinforcements, approached Earth with determination. Despite the losses at Neptune and Mars, Fleet Admiral Zorax remained confident. After all, this was just a single planet of primitives fighting against the might of an empire that spanned hundreds of worlds. From the bridge of the Dominion, Zorax broadcast his message to Earth. Attention, people of Earth. This is Fleet Admiral Zorax of the Taurian hegemony. Your pointless resistance has caused needless destruction. Surrender now and accept your place in our empire, or face planetary bombardment. In the White House, President Carter listened to the ultimatum, then turned to his communications officer. Send our response. On screens across Earth and on all Taurian ships, President Carter's face appeared. This is President Frank Carter of the United Earth Government. Humanity does not surrender to threats. We have prepared for this day. If you want our world, you'll have to fight for every inch of it. As the transmission ended, Carter gave the order. General Holt, you have authorization to defend Earth by any means necessary. General Holt nodded grimly. Yes, sir. All defense systems, commence firing. The orbital defense grid came to life, revealing its true power. What the Taurians had believed to be minimal defenses suddenly unleashed a barrage of energy beams and missiles. The first volley caught the alien ships by surprise, damaging 2 before they could raise their shields. We're under attack, shouted a Taurian officer on the Dominion's bridge. The humans have concealed weapons throughout their orbit. Zorax recovered quickly from his surprise. Return fire. Target their defense platforms. The battle for Earth began in earnest, with energy, beams crisscrossing the blackness of space. Taurian ships maneuvered to attack the orbital defenses, but the grid was more resilient than expected. Each platform had powerful shields and self-repair systems. From the lunar base, Major Harper initiated her part of Earth's defense plan. Lunar batteries firing now. Massive cannons hidden in lunar craters fired projectiles at incredible speeds. The shots struck the right flank of the Taurian formation, destroying 1 ship and severely damaging 2 others. Where is that fire coming from? Demanded Zorax as his tactical display showed the new threat. Their moon, Admiral, replied Sub-Admiral Krell. They have weapons concealed on its surface. The battle intensified as both sides committed fully to the fight. Taurian ships destroyed several orbital platforms, creating gaps in Earth's defense grid. But human defenses continued to inflict damage on the alien fleet. From underwater bases, on Earth a surprise weapon was revealed. Massive submarines designed specifically for this purpose launched orbital missiles. These weapons, unknown even to most of Earth's population, rose from the oceans and streaked toward the Taurian ships. New weapons detected, warned a Taurian sensor operator. Launching from the planet's oceans. The submarine-launched missiles struck 3 Taurian ships before their point defenses could react. 1 ship exploded immediately, while the others suffered critical damage. On Earth, General Holt watched the battle from his command center beneath the Rocky Mountains. Deploy the Space Marines, he ordered. Captain Andy Miller led his squad of Space Marines toward a damaged Taurian frigate. Their small, stealthy craft approached undetected as the larger ship struggled to maintain power after being hit by Earth's defenses. Remember the plan, Andy told his team. We need to capture their ship intact. The intelligence we gain could be crucial. The Marines boarded through a damaged section of the Taurian hull. Inside, they faced alien crew members, engaged in desperate, hand-to-hand combat in the narrow corridors. Despite the Taurians' physical strength, the human Marines prevailed through superior tactics and determination. Andy fought his way to the bridge, where he secured the ship's command center and computer. Systems, Command, this is Captain Miller. We've secured the Taurian vessel. Beginning data extraction now. The Space Marines' mission was a crucial success. The captured Taurian ship provided valuable information about enemy systems and tactics that would help the human defenders. Despite these successes, the battle began to turn as Zorax committed his reserve forces. 5 fresh Taurian warships held back from the initial engagement now joined the fight, targeting weakened sections of Earth's defenses. They're breaking through Sector 7, reported an officer to General Holt. The orbital grid can't hold much longer. President Carter, watching from the Situation Room, asked the question everyone dreaded. What about ground defenses, if they reach Earth's surface? We'll fight street by street if necessary, General Holt replied grimly. Every nation has prepared its forces. But as the situation grew desperate, an unexpected transmission reached both human and Taurian commanders. The message came on all frequencies, in both human and Taurian languages. Attention all vessels. In Earth orbit. This is Admiral Patricia Grant of the Outer Colonies Defense Force. Stand by for our arrival. General Holt looked confused. Outer Colonies, what is this? Before anyone could respond, sensors detected massive energy signatures beyond Pluto's orbit. Space seemed to ripple and tear as a fleet of ships, unlike any seen before, emerged from what appeared to be artificial wormholes. Over 200 warships, larger and more advanced than anything Earth had previously fielded, appeared at the edge of the solar system. They moved with incredible speed toward Earth, their formation precise and threatening. On the Dominion, Fleet Admiral Zorax stared at his tactical display in disbelief. Where did these ships come from? The humans have no colonies beyond their solar system. As the mysterious fleet approached, they broadcast again. Taurian vessels, you have entered protected human space without authorization. You are ordered to cease hostilities immediately or be destroyed. The new human ships were closing fast, their weapons already targeting the Taurian fleet. The battle for Earth was about to take an unexpected turn that would shock the entire Taurian hegemony. The massive human fleet moved with perfect coordination as it approached Earth. Each ship gleamed with a silvery blue hull that seemed to absorb sensor scans. Their designs were sleek and predatory, nothing like the boxy practical vessels of Earth's known defense forces. In the White House Situation Room, confusion reigned. President Carter turned to Director Bennett with questions in his eyes. Olivia, what is this? Where did these ships come from? For the first time since the crisis began, Director Bennett smiled. It's time you learned about Operation Distant Shield, Mr. President. 25 years ago, your predecessor authorized a classified project. While Earth developed its solar system openly, we secretly established bases in Alpha Centauri. On the main screen, Admiral Patricia Grant's face appeared. She was a tall woman with short gray hair and the confident look of someone used to command. Most people believed she had retired 15 years earlier. Mr. President, the Outer Colonies Defense Force is at your service, she said. Sorry we cut it close. The trip from Alpha Centauri takes time even with our drive technology. President Carter stood straighter. Admiral Grant, your arrival is most welcome. Please coordinate with General Holt to deal with the Taurian threat. Already. On it, sir, Grant replied. We've studied their tactics during the battles at Neptune and Mars. We know their weaknesses. The Outer Colonies fleet engaged the Taurians with devastating efficiency. Their weapons were far more advanced than anything seen in the solar system. Energy beams sliced through Taurian shields. Guided missiles tracked enemy ships with uncanny precision. On the Dominion, Fleet Admiral Zorax watched in horror as his fleet was systematically dismantled. Ship after ship fell to the mysterious human fleet. This is impossible, he shouted. Where did these vessels come from? Our intelligence said the humans were confined to their solar system. Sub-Admiral Krell studied the tactical displays with a grim expression. Sir, we should consider retreat. We've lost nearly half our remaining ships already. Zorax refused to accept defeat. No, the hegemony does not retreat. Target their flagship and concentrate all fire. 3 Taurian warships focused their weapons on Admiral Grant's flagship, the Sentinel. But the human vessel's shields held firm against the barrage. The Sentinel returned fire, its main cannon sending a pulse of energy that crippled one of the attacking Taurian ships. Throughout Earth orbit, the battle quickly turned into a rout. The Taurian ships, already weakened from the previous fights, could not match the advanced technology and superior numbers of the Outer Colonies fleet. A small force of human marines, led by Lieutenant Daniel White, boarded the Dominion after its engines were disabled. Unlike the previous boarding action by Captain Miller, this team carried advanced weapons and powered armor that made them more than a match for the Taurian defenders. Daniel and his squad fought their way to the bridge, where they found Fleet Admiral Zorax still shouting orders even as his fleet was destroyed around him. Fleet Admiral Zorax, Daniel announced, his weapon trained on the alien commander. Your ship is taken. Your fleet is destroyed. You will come with us. For a moment, it seemed Zorax might resist. Then, seeing the hopelessness of his situation, he surrendered. I am your prisoner, he said bitterly. Within hours, the battle was over. The remaining Taurian ships had either been destroyed or captured. For the first time since the conflict began, Earth's skies were peaceful again. In a secure conference room on the Sentinel, Admiral Grant met with President Carter, Director Bennett, and the captured Fleet Admiral Zorax. The Taurian commander still maintained his dignity despite his defeat. You deceived us, Zorax accused, looking at the human leaders. You hid your true capabilities. Admiral Grant smiled thinly. We didn't deceive you. You deceived yourselves. You assumed we were confined to our solar system because that's all you bothered to see. How long? Zorax demanded. How long have you had colonies beyond your star? Director Bennett answered. We established our first outpost in Alpha Centauri 23 years ago. We now have bases in 4 nearby star systems, all carefully hidden from observers like your scout ships. Zorax slumped in his chair as the implications became clear. His easy conquest had turned into a diplomatic and military disaster for the hegemony. Let me show you something, Admiral Grant said, activating a holographic display. It showed a map of nearby star systems with human colonies highlighted. What you faced in the solar system was our home guard and training fleet. She paused, letting her next words sink in. This isn't even humanity's main fleet. Our primary armada is currently securing our colonies in the Tau Ceti and Epsilon Eridani systems. Zorax stared at the map in shock. The human expansion was far greater than anyone in the hegemony had suspected. President Carter spoke next. Fleet Admiral, we are prepared to negotiate peace between humanity and the Taurian hegemony. But understand this, we will not be subjugated. Any agreement must recognize human independence and our right to our territories. 2 weeks later, in a formal ceremony aboard a neutral space station, the Soltarian Accord was signed. It was humanity's first interstellar treaty, recognizing human sovereignty over Earth and all human colonies. The hegemony agreed to respect human borders and establish diplomatic relations. As news of the hegemony's defeat spread throughout Taurian territory, it triggered rebellions on several subjugated worlds. The myth of Taurian invincibility had been shattered by a species they had dismissed as primitives. Meanwhile, humanity began to openly expand into nearby star systems, no longer needing to hide its true capabilities. Ships that had once traveled in secret now moved freely between Earth and the colonies. At the newly established Earth spaceport, Director Bennett and President Carter met Admiral Grant as she returned from a tour of the outer colonies. The shipyards at Alpha Centauri are running at full capacity, Grant reported as they walked through the bustling terminal. And our long-range scouts have made contact with several other interstellar civilizations beyond Taurian space. Friendly? Asked President Carter. Some yes, others no. The Arcadian Alliance has offered trade agreements. The Vorn Collective seems more cautious, and there are rumors of an empire beyond Taurian space that makes the hegemony look small by comparison. Director Bennett smiled. Then it's a good thing we're ready for them. They paused at a large viewport, watching as ships of all sizes departed Earth for the stars. Families, workers, and explorers heading to new homes and opportunities across multiple star systems. 25 years ago, we created Operation Distant Shield because we feared what might be waiting for us among the stars, Bennett said quietly. We prepared in secret, built in secret, expanded in secret. And now? Asked President Carter. Admiral Grant gazed at the stars visible through the viewport. Now we take our place in the galaxy openly. The Taurians were just the beginning of humanity's journey. A group of children pressed their faces against the viewport, pointing excitedly at the departing ships. One day they would grow up in a universe where humans traveled freely between stars, where Earth was just one world among many that humanity called home. The Taurian encounter had tested humanity's resolve and preparedness, but it was merely the first chapter in Earth's cosmic story. Whatever waited beyond the stars, humanity would face it united, prepared, and unafraid.